Hey grade 4s, Chapter 9, Hardy Boys Adventures, Tunnel of Secrets. Ticket to the Underworld. Split second after Joe smashed into me, the train smashed into the wall. A split second after that, they found us free-falling into a giant abyss behind the door I had opened. Upon impact, the train exploded above us, spewing fire into the darkness and illuminating the vast cavern beneath us with an eerie glow. Giant stalactites like jagged teeth hung from the ceiling, and equally jagged rock formations and unstable boulders waited below. It would have been one of the coolest places I've ever seen if I hadn't been witnessing it while plummeting through the air. We weren't airborne long before we slammed onto a steep, rocky slope. There wasn't enough incline to break our fall, but not enough to stop us from tumbling the rest of the way down. I clambered to get a handhold, finally grabbing onto a crag and a rock. Joe was about to slide right past me when I snagged his gear bag. One of the bag's handles tore free, and the bag went flying, but it slowed him down enough to grab on as well. "Whoa, dude," my brother said with a gasp, clinging to a rock beside me. "I think I had enough fun for one day," I moaned, trying to dodge the stones that had been dislodged by the exploding train and were rolling down the slope after us. "We better try to make our way to the bottom before the whole roof comes crashing down." Joe surveyed the slope below. "There are plenty of natural handholds in the rock to keep us from sliding all the way down. Shouldn't be too long as we go slowly." As I watched Joe begin to his descent, I heard a loud groaning noise coming from above. "So you know what I said about going slowly?" Joe asked, looking up the slope past me. "Yeah." "Well, new plan." I followed his eyes up the slope where a massive boulder was teetering from its perch. My stomach turned to ice as it began tumbling toward us. "Slide!" he yelled. He didn't have to tell me twice. I let go of the rock I was clinging to, and gravity and the interior took care of the rest. We shot down the slope like a couple of kids on a big bumpy slide. The boulder came careering down after us, smashing into place we had been just a moment before and sending it a landslide of smaller stones raining down on us. I could hear the boulder picking up speed, crashing into the rocky slope with enormous thuds that shook the whole cavern as it rolled closer, racing us to the bottom. What we hadn't realized was that the slope didn't go all the way to the bottom. The end of it had crumbled away, leaving a vertical drop between us and the cavern floor. My brother and I screamed as we fell off the edge. The boulder, on the other hand, kept right on going, sailing over our heads close enough that I could feel it mess up my hair. Joy and I crashed to the ground a few feet below, where we saw the boulder knock over some giant stalagmites left and right, like they were bowling pins, before smashing right through the cavern wall. "Oof," Joe replied. "Ugh," I replied. "Are we still alive?" Joe asked. "I think so," I muttered. "What now?" Joe asked, picking up his gear bag from its landing spot nearby and dusting off the headlamp, which had fallen off but thankfully still working. I craned my neck to look way up at the hole we'd fallen through. The flames from the train wreck had died to a flicker, making it look like a yellow sun high up in the sky. The distance was enough to give me vertigo. If that slope hadn't been there to break our fall, we never would have survived the drop. "Well, there's no way we're going back that way we came, that's for sure," I said. "At least not without a couple of jetpacks," Joe said. "So I guess we're keep going. Lead the way, Cyclops." Joe kicked aside a hunk of shattered rock as we followed the path of the boulder. "Man, those stalactites didn't stand a chance. Actually, the columns of calcium salt deposits that rise from the ground are technically called stalagmites," I corrected. "The ones hanging from the ceiling like icicles are stalactites." Joe stopped and said, "Did you hear that?" "What?" I asked, looking around nervously. "The sound of eye rolling." "Ha ha, you'll thank me when you take geology," I said. "It looks like it was excavated by hand," I said, stepping inside and running my hand over the wall. It was smoother than the naturally occurring rock on the other side. Joe did a sweep of the room with his headlamp. The light filtered through the dust, landing on a splash of red. We climbed over a pile of rocks to get a closer look. Staring back at us from behind, a thick curtain of cobwebs were the hollow eyes of a partially mummified human corpse. A corpse that just happened to be wearing the same kind of hooded red robe as the creep that attacked us in the library. The robe hung in tatters over the dried flesh clinging to the mummy's skeleton. "It looks like the guy shops for clothes at the same place as our ghoul. Well, I guess we don't have to wonder about how he died," I said, pointing to the jewel-studded dagger sticking out of the mummy's back. Joe winced. "Ouch, I wonder who he was." It's hard to even tell how old the body is, I said, trying to examine it without getting too close. With this type of mummification, it could be 50 years old or 250, or even older than that. It's hard to tell more without doing a full forensic post-mortem. You got a pocket knife in your gear bag, right? Joe looked at me like I was crazy. Leave the poor guy alone. He's already been stabbed once. I'm not going to cut him. I want something I can use to lift back the robe without touching him. Joe handed me a Swiss Army knife, and I unfolded the blade. As I reached forward to try to lift back the mummy's robe, I noticed something strange about the way its left hand was pressed to its mouth. It looked like a person had died trying to swallow something. But what really caught my eye were its mummified fingers. The mummy's left hand had only 3 of them. It was missing the pinky and ring finger, just like the Admiral. Joe, I said, I think we just solved Bayport's oldest missing persons case. And that's chapter 9. See you for chapter 10.